Hey everybody, this is Chris from Tiny Home Tours in the off-grid skoolie. So I mentioned before that I travel around in a school bus filming people in their tiny homes. We're actually at the 2019 bus fair, so I'm going to give you a quick tour of the school bus that I live and travel in full time. So welcome to my bus. This is Zeppelin 2, my first camper van. I named it after Led Zeppelin. It was a silver 1989 Dodge Explorer. Wanted to keep that going with the school bus conversion. Purposely, I built this specifically to be off the grid, hence the name, the off-grid skoolie. Tons of water storage, tons of food storage, lots of solar. I built this to where I can go out to the forest, the desert, wherever I wanted to go, and if I wanted to, be able to park, be in one spot, and not need to move the rig whatsoever, need no more supplies. And now that I have a tow car, that's going to be much more doable to where I can actually go out and explore, check out the different cities and towns that I'm in. But what we'll do is start with the captain seat. This is actually out of my Class A. I bought a Class A to live in and travel in full time, spent summers up in Alaska, winters in the lower 48. When I sold it, the new owner wanted different seats, and I was totally fine with that because I knew that I needed these captain's chairs. And some people get lucky and find them for cheap. Other people, find them on eBay for 3/4 of what they cost new, and they're, a little tore up. So I was happy to repurpose this. This was actually the driver's seat out of my Class A. Swivels around to the front for passengers, and mostly what it's been used for is my main office area. Being that I work from the road, having a place to work, be able to work online, make a residual remote income was one of the main goals with everything that I was doing. So having a comfortable place to work was a high priority. We ended up using butcher block for the desk as well as the kitchen. So with this particular desk, I have one area set up right here, and then I have a secondary desk a little bit further back. Eventually I'm going to get an office chair to put right here. I'm still trying to figure out how I'm going to secure that. Right now I just have a foldable chair that I use with a cushion on it because it's not exactly too comfortable. And I got a 27-inch iMac that I have on a Amazon wall mount, which has been working fantastic. So I'm able to face it going forward if I want to work. If I'm on the couch and just want to watch Netflix, I have that option, and then I can swivel it to the main desk area and be able to use the iMac as well as my laptop. This secondary desk area actually folds down, so if I have people in the bus, if I have a bunch of people over, I can fold this down, put a couple chairs here, so you'd have at least three spots for the couch as well as the captain's seat and a couple chairs here. So one of the main reasons for a school bus conversion was its weight capacity. This bus has a 36,000 pound weight capacity. Right now with a full build, 200 gallons of fresh water, full tank of diesel, it was around 31,000 pounds. The Class A I couldn't add what I wanted to. I couldn't add more fresh water to be off the grid. I couldn't build in a desk area that used 3/4 plywood or 1.5-inch butcher block. The Class A's are, those big rectangular RVs, and once you fill up the water, once you fill up the fuel in those, typically you only have about 1,200 to 1,500 pounds that you can play with, and that includes all your personal belongings. That includes any additions that you do to the particular rig. So we put in a wood floor in that, and that was an extra 300 or 400 pounds. So that was, a quarter of your extra weight that you could play with. With the bus, I was able to go in and use the best materials because I built this bus to be my home for the next 10-15 years at least. I have no real desire to buy a home unless I buy it to rent out. I love being mobile. I love being able to customize things. So that's why I went with the school bus, because even the walls are all 3/4. Everything that's wood in here is all 3/4. I wanted it to last. I wanted it to be my home for the foreseeable future. So being that I film a lot on the road, I have tons of hard drives. I think I have about 11 external hard drives in here. This is just extra storage in here for pencils, wires, just quick access. If I'm getting work done with the computer, I can just grab whatever hard drive I need, whatever wire I need. It's all in here ready to go. I have a whiteboard up here just to keep notes if I'm listening to a podcast about making money on the road, if I'm watching a YouTube video and something strikes me, if I want to go up to it, or a friend has an idea for a video for me, I can actually just write it down right here. It's in front of me every day. I see it every day. And if I do get caught up in my work and I'm looking for something else to do, I can just look up here, look through the list, and see what's the next project that I want to tackle, what project I want to start working on. So that's been great for writing notes. I also got these blinds from Simple Blinds. You have the complete blackout, and then you also have an ambient light option. Honestly, I don't really use them too often, but if I do leave the rig, I'll close these, and that way nobody can really see into the bus whenever I'm gone. A little bit further back, I have this this little storage unit. It is actually made for canned goods. I was going to use it and put it on top of the fridge, but I ended up adding some storage up there for other stuff. So now I'm using it for my notebooks, my laptop. Always start my day with a productivity planner, just my goals and how much time I'm going to spend on them. 5-minute journal. You can get both these on Amazon. The 5-minute journal is just essentially what you're thankful for, what you hope to accomplish for the day. Again, as you can see, I like to write things down and then reflect back on them. It helps me with my work process, and it helps me be productive. So I highly suggest you check those 2 pieces of material out if you're looking to work remotely, because it helps to keep everything in line. Also, you can see this particular window is open. In this living room area, I wanted to keep it nice and airy and open. I spend about 85% of my time in here, so I can open all these windows, just prop them open, and when I'm sitting here working, you know, it just really opens up the area. That's why with this side, with this upper, I ended up having it put a little bit further back just to keep this, you know, really large area open. When I first started considering building the bus, I was going to do uppers pretty much a foot out on both sides, and I'm really glad I didn't do that. I love the way that it just feels like an apartment in here whenever you walk in. And also, when we did the roof raise, I installed a 95 Jeep Cherokee rear glass up front, which brings in a lot of light, a lot of natural light. I hardly ever have the lights on in here just because there's so much natural light coming in. So this upper is just kind of a catch-all, easy gear storage, drones up there, running backpack, extra gear, tripod, my dog's treats and food. Like I said, just quick access. Up here in the front, we have just kind of a knick-knack area. Again, if I find some cool rocks, if people give me things on the road, just like to have those on display. And down below that, I have a dog fence bubble window. So whenever we drive, my dog typically sits on the couch. He can stick his head out that window, and if I have any passengers riding with me, they can actually stick their head out. I go about 60 miles per hour. That's about as fast as I go in this. This bus can go way faster, but I like to, you know, kind of take it easy on the engine. I want this engine to have a nice, happy life for the time that I have it. So a lot of people pass me, so you can actually stick your head out, get the views, and watch all the semis and everything pass as you go through. Right here I have a pull-out couch. It turns into a bed. I will actually go through stints to where I will just, instead of sleeping in the bed in the back, I'll just pull this out and sleep here. And with this 95 Jeep Cherokee rear window, as you're laying here, especially when you're out in the middle of nowhere, you're able to look at the stars, you're able just to hang out, and then when you wake up, I wake up around 5 typically every morning, just move the pillows to the side here, and then get my laptop, get some work done, and watch the sun come up. It's an amazing feeling to be able to do that. I do have a little bit of storage under here. Right now it's just extra parts that need to be installed on the bus. This bus is still a work in progress, as you can see from the ceiling, but I wanted to get on the road and be able to film for Tiny Home Tours and my other blog, and, you know, build business connections and all that stuff. That was way more important to me than finishing all the small little details. But we're slowly but surely getting that done. You might notice there's a ladder here. It goes up to my roof deck. Kept both emergency exits for access to the roof. Spend a decent amount of time up there. It's nice to be able to go out to the middle of nowhere, be able to get a better view up there and just hang out. I'll also bring a chair up there and my laptop, get some work done. If I'm doing the planner in the morning or what I hope to achieve, grab a cup of coffee, go up there, sit, write out my plans for the day, and then get to work. But that's been a fantastic addition. It does fold down. The bus right now with the roof raise and the highest part of that roof deck, this bus is 12 foot 9 inches, which is the exact same as the Class A that I had. And you can see the cow skull right there kind of goes with the aesthetic. Jim and Debbie from Life is a Joy, their channel will be linked down below. They helped me a lot with building the bus. Jim helped me do the roof raise and the interior build. They had that cow skull and they were moving out of their house. They didn't know what to do with it, so it's kind of a memento, as a reminder of working with them on the bus. So moving back, underneath here is a 5 cubic foot chest freezer. Again, built this bus to be off the grid. I can go to Costco, I can go to Trader Joe's, fill up on the food that I want and be able to store it in there. So again, if I wanted to go out in the middle of nowhere, I have more than enough food storage to last me, you know, way longer than a month and a half, 2 months. I also spend summers up in Alaska typically. This is the first time in 7 years I haven't gone to Alaska during the summer, but just the salmon runs up there, you can spend a week if the run's good, and I can completely fill this thing up with wild caught sockeye salmon, go on charters up there, halibut, rockfish. It'd fill up super quick, so it'd be nice to have extra storage so when I'm done up there in Alaska I can bring that all back down. Also going to organic farms, be able to buy a quarter of a cow or buy some meat from a responsible farm, be able to store it in there instead of having to go to the store, and support that type of farming. I'd love to do that, so that's another reason why I went with this chest freezer. This butcher block just pops up, slides out, opens, then I have full access to all my extra food in there. Went with a Berkey water filter. Went with this because on the road it is hard from time to time to find water that you know is good. I do have 200 gallons of fresh water, but what I do is just fill this with the sink. This is the Royal Berkey. It's 3.5 gallons, and you know, between my dog and I, this will last us 2 or 3 days, and it's been fantastic. I've really enjoyed the Berkey. And on the front of the chest freezer here, I just have these metal plates. This is from Displate, and I'm able to change them out, but it just really fits the aesthetic of the bus. I really love how this turned out. It was a lot of engineering, a lot of trying to figure out how this was actually going to work, how I was going to attach the butcher block, but it turned out fantastic. I really enjoy it. So with the transition glass up there, when I originally was looking at options, I didn't know if I was going to add that glass up there, and Wes from Transcend Existence, as well as Jim and Debbie from Life is a Joy, they both had the glass up there and they both suggested I do that. So there's 2 windows that you can use that I know of for certain. You have the Nissan Odyssey minivan that really fits the contour of the transition whenever you put it up there. When I went to the scrap yard, they had 2 of them, but one already had the back glass removed and the other one was cracked. So another option, Jim did the 95-ish Jeep Cherokee, and they had plenty of those in the scrap yard. So I just took it off, we cut it up, and then we put tubular steel frame around it, welded it in, and it's been fantastic. And also I went with the 95 Jeep Cherokee glass because, again, going back and forth to Alaska, there's a lot of rocks that are going to be thrown at you, and if that does crack, if that does break, I don't want to be searching around everywhere for a new glass. That's a very common thing to find in scrap yards. So I'm very glad I went with that, and it brings a lot of natural light in here. So the floor just went with the Home Depot special. It was one of their cheaper options. I ended up securing it down with liquid nails underneath. A lot of people do floating floors. I didn't want to do that. I just wanted it down not moving, and so far it's been fantastic. I take this bus on some tricky roads sometimes to get to chutes, and the floor has not moved whatsoever. With these rear engine diesels, the fuel sending unit is right here. I opted not to cover that up, so that can just easily be pulled up, and I can get to the sending unit for the diesel tank. And again, just building this to be available to modify in the future, because my rear wiring harness runs from right here. I had to extend it, which is what is back here. This is removable, and then back behind this upper, that plate is also removable. So as technology improves, if I want to add new things, I have a run that goes all the way to the front, to the back in 12 volt. Even though about half those wires aren't used anymore, I can always piggyback onto those, and I have access to that throughout the entire length of the bus. So I got an extending ladder from Amazon. It's been good, obviously, to access the roof. I didn't put a ladder on the outside because I didn't want random people going up there. So the only way to access the roof, unless you scale the side of the bus, is this ladder. So this is a little bit of a bigger bus, but still it's nice to have a ladder that folds all the way down, and it just stores right above the fridge. Has a lip in there, doesn't move around. That's been working awesome. And then I have 1700 watts of solar up on the roof. I do good up there and clean the panels a decent amount. You can access the front of the panels from this side, and then the back emergency exit. I can climb up through the rear emergency exit, clean the rear panels, but the middle panels are kind of hard to get to. I can get the ladder out, put it on the side of the bus, and I'm able to clean all my panels. This is also another gift from Jim and Debbie from Life is a Joy. While we were building the bus, I had a real estate side gig, and it gets a little tough from time to time. It's a little hard to get motivated, so I would stare at this poster, The Road to Success, as I was getting yelled at trying to get leads to the brokerage I was working with. So that's one of the big pieces of the bus that still reminds me today to get after it and get some work done. So welcome to the kitchen. As I was building the bus, the kitchen kind of morphed a little bit. Doing these tours, I learned from other people. I saw what they were doing, why they did them, and it, kind of adjusted the build. But we ended up going with a angled sink. I got a workstation sink. This has been fantastic for actually saving water. So I'll let this fill up for a bit. I might be making an excuse for not wanting to do dishes, but I'll let this fill up for a bit and be able to reuse the water for soaking dishes, be able to use as little water as possible. Again, that's the biggest constraint for me being off the grid. Even though I have 200 gallons, if you're talking about a month and a half, that really starts to add up. Every single drop counts. But this sink has been fantastic. Came with a cutting board, dish dryer. This has been working really, really well for me. Just a typical faucet from Amazon, and went with these colorful Mexican tiles that once again I got from Amazon. As you can see, the aesthetic of the bus is dark colors with stainless, kind of that dichotomy. So it's nice to add a little bit of color through here. Really glad that I went with that. Found a vintage stove on Craigslist. This has been working really well for me. Some people are lucky like me and find something like this for $40 on Craigslist, and it works great. Some people will get a vintage stove and they cut their butcher block, they cut their countertop, and they put it in and it doesn't work. So knock on wood, that will not happen to me, but this has been working great. 4 burners with an oven. The oven was never used when I bought it, and I use the oven all the time. This has been working great, and just a fan vent up above. 3/4 uppers. Right now I'm still trying to figure out where everything is going to go. Essentially I got to the point to where I was ready to get on the road, start working, and I just threw everything in the cabinets, and I still haven't gone through and organized everything. I've been going non-stop since I've been on the road, so it's a little messy on the inside, but this has been working great. Like I said, 3/4 built to last. This particular storage area up top, this is my PepWave system. So again, working from the road, internet's very important. So I got this PepWave system that takes 2 cell phone SIM cards. I have a Verizon Unlimited plan and an AT&T Unlimited plan, and the PepWave will actually distinguish which one has the best service. I have a booster up top that will bring in it'll boost the service, and then it spits out a Wi-Fi signal that I can have a guest on. I have a 5G network, and then I have Wi-Fi that I can use on cell phones. This works fantastic. Whenever I go to a new spot, nobody else has internet, they don't have any service, they're able to jump on to my Wi-Fi, and if I log on through my computer, I can actually limit people to certain gigs. So if somebody gets on my Wi-Fi and starts downloading, a bunch of stuff, and my internet slows down, I can actually throttle them back and give them a limit to how many gigs they can use on my Wi-Fi. So this has been a great system. Eventually I'm going to be making a video on the full setup. It's 100% custom. Aaron from Broccoli Bus, their channel will be linked down below as well on their Instagram. He had a similar system. He helped me put this together, and that has been a lifesaver many times where I'm out in the middle of nowhere, I have no service, and I kick this on and I have really fast internet. So that's been great. So down underneath the stove we have lower storage, child locks on there. That's just a lot of different cooking gear, just pots and pans. Underneath here is pull out trash. I have 2 smaller bins and just other like trash bags, my laundry detergent, glass cleaner, and then I also have a 7-gallon electric water heater. I invested very heavily in my solar and batteries. I don't know if I'd make the same choice again. So for example, if it's raining out and it's cold and I forget to turn the hot water heater on, or the batteries are low, it draws a lot of power. And if I could do it over again, I would probably go with a Webasto setup. Webasto actually lost their patent to those systems, so you can actually get a cheaper Chinese version that's $160 and it works just as well, and it's ran off diesel. So if I could do it over again, I'd probably go with that setup, because not only would it heat the bus, I could also heat my water, and they're super efficient. But that's lessons learned. Over here I have a residential fridge, Maytag fridge, about 5 cubic feet of storage in the freezer, about 12 to 13 in the fridge space. Just go again to Costco, Trader Joe's, fill this thing up, go out boondock, and I am good to go for a while. I originally planned on getting a smaller fridge, and again, once I decided to go with lithium batteries, this became more of an option. Doesn't draw that much power, and it's been working really, really well for me. I have some artwork that I have up here because got a little bit of a dent in it. When I left to hit the road to start filming, I was a little excited and I forgot to put a cleat on the fridge, and I was smart enough to curb this, and the fridge came over and met the sink, and we'll just say the sink won. This stainless steel sink from Rivati, it was solid. It didn't even leave a mark in this thing, and the fridge got pretty dented, but I am totally okay with that. I'm not huge, like aesthetics don't really matter that much to me. It's just a story. But the fridge has been working great, and then I have extra storage up above the fridge as well for just random things right now until I get things organized. So I cook a decent amount. So I do intermittent fasting, high fat, low carb. So I typically don't eat until about 11 or noon. And it's usually eggs, bacon, sauerkraut. I eat a very large meal, my first meal, then I have a small snack later in the day. But I cook pretty much every single day. I hardly eat out. The goal of this bus was to live simply, be able to save money. So everything included with my lifestyle right now typically costs me anywhere from $50 to $60 a day. That's vehicle insurance, health insurance, all my internet, like every single expense that I have is anywhere from around $50 to $60 a day. So being able to cook meals obviously saves money. It's way more healthy for you. And yeah, I cook a ton. That's why the kitchen is a fairly large part of the bus, just because that was one of the cornerstones of me living on the road cheaply. Moving back, you can see my spice rack. The upside down glasses are drinking glasses. Obviously the spices are all right here. I need to take this masking tape off and actually get some labels and have somebody that doesn't have handwriting of a toddler to actually label all these for me, but they are labeled and they just unscrew, and then I'm able to, you know, use the spices for whatever cooking that I'm doing, and they're right here ready to go. Up here is my the entrance for the solar, and this is a stainless steel plate that my friend Billy from Nickel Handcrafted in Phoenix made for me. It just unscrews, and I also have a solar cutoff switch up there to, if there's something happening with the panels, if there's something happening with the solar system, I have a complete cutoff up there that I can just go up there, turn it off, and then there's no more power coming to my system. But this has been working great. I actually got the idea to use these upside down mason jars as drinking glasses from a tour I did, and it holds them in place. You don't have any glasses that are going to break, that are moving around, and it actually looks pretty cool too. So I'm really glad that I went with this this spice rack setup. And then I typically just leave my toothbrush, toothpaste, deodorant. First thing I do in the morning, obviously brush my teeth. Just use the kitchen sink for that. And yeah, this setup's been fantastic. So with cooking, just have this exhaust fan. Went with Max Air. I had a couple fantastic fans in the Class A. I do like these better. I know there's a big rivalry going on out there, but Max Air, I've had both. It works great for me. I also have one over the bed. I'll show you as well. But whenever I'm cooking, I can either open the emergency exit window right there, turn the fan vent on, or just pop this open and exhaust all the smoke from the food. Further back in the kitchen, being that we went with the angle sink, there was a dead area right here. Just got a little spice rack, just a lot of hot sauces, essential oils that I store in here, cleaning products, just trying to utilize every square inch of space here in the bus. And moving further back, we have the pantry area. This is all dry food storage in here. Again, I need to go through, organize everything. So far, it's just been on the road going non-stop. But part of being off the grid is having enough food. Having enough food to sustain you, enough food to cook. And this has been working really well. Dry food storage up here. So down below, we have utensils for cooking, pots and pans. So Jim from Life is a Joy had an idea to keep your drawers from opening, and you actually use these thumb screws. It's basically a little pad that you use for furniture to keep it from scraping your floor, and a washer. So I have this set up, and it's actually threaded in here, and I'm able to tighten this down before I leave, and the drawers don't open. And then I'm able to just store them in there, and it keeps everything closed. No drawers are coming open, so I actually have one for the uppers up here, all down through here, as well as back in the closet of the bedroom. So for me to go through the bus, get everything set up, the Berkey goes into the sink. It takes me about 5 minutes to get this bus ready to hit the road. And also with the iMac, I have the same system to where it's threaded underneath. I have that thumb screw, holds down the iMac from moving while I drive. So Aubrey, I did a video with her, it'll be linked down below as well. She made this awesome little leather knife setup for me. This has been working really well. Again, I cook non-stop, so having all of my knives ready to go. A lot of times this will actually just be stored right here, ready to go. So moving back into this area, this was just a dead space that I really didn't know what to do with, and I wanted to have an area to do yoga, I do yoga. I work out in here. I can show you back there where I do pull-ups. Essentially, I have a 3-day schedule where I'll stretch one day, run one day, body weight exercises, and rest day. And every 4 days that resets. So this actually comes down, and then I have extra space, and then it obviously comes back up. So this is a standing desk area. A lot of times, like I work a lot on the road, I'll just bring my laptop over here. I have a view out this window, and it's been working great. I love having this setup. And another dry erase board, basically just all my notes, everything I need to get done. The girls from the broccoli bus, they like to come in and actually use my dry erase markers and draw pictures for me. So they have a permanent spot in the bus where this is their area whenever I meet up with them on the road. Eventually I'm going to get a couple hooks, a couple stools. This could be a dining area as well if I don't want to eat where I work, and just look out the views to wherever I'm parked. So we do have a light up above. Whenever I do the ceiling, I'm debating on just redoing all the lights and just using these as speaker wire. I'm still not too sure what to do with that, but just a light up above that also controls up into the bedroom area, which I'll show you in a second. And then with the bathroom, I did a full tiled shower. It's a 32 by 32. First time I ever did any tiling. That was an interesting experience. It turned out pretty good. Got pretty much all the tile, everything from Habitat for Humanity. If you're thinking about doing a bus, Habitat for Humanity is an amazing spot. These bluish, grayish tiles, somebody at Home Depot left them out in the rainstorm, and they couldn't sell them, so they had pallets and pallets of those where they were selling them for half of what Home Depot was, but since they had so many, they were doing another half off sale on top of the half off. So I was able to get a lot of tile for cheap. Really wanted to just have a full shower, just because, like I said, I work out a lot. I hate going to bed sticky. That was a priority for me to have a decent shower. So glad I went with that, and then went with the Nature's Head composting toilet. They are a bit expensive, but it's nice to not have to worry about trying to find a bathroom. I did the Class A thing. The black tanks, always having to worry about that, was just a pain. This, with me by myself, with the solids, I have to change it every month and a half, and it's not that bad at all. Like, some people might be grossed out about it, but it's not that bad, especially if you're only doing it, once every month and a half, 2 months. And then just an upper right here. I don't have much storage in there yet. And then more storage up above. That's just cleaning utensils, some soaps, and this bathroom size is actually modeled off my Class A that I had, just because I really liked how small it was, but how functional it was. So this is almost identical to the size of the Class A bathroom. And then for the door, for now, eventually I'll probably get a barn door, some sort of sliding door. But I was at the Van Life app meetup and won this in a raffle. So right now, that's about all you need. And then I have another window over there with a blind that you can also open. And bathroom's been great. A lot of people, when I go to meetups, people that have smaller rigs, they'll come over and shower. They'll use the bathroom. It's nice to be able to provide that for people that are on the road, because I started in my very first van was just a conversion van that I took all the seats out and put the bed down and built some cabinets in. So I know how it is not having a shower. I know how it is not having a bathroom. So it's nice to have this to provide for people. And then on this side, I have a stainless steel back with a Dickinson marine heater. As I said before, if I could do it over again, I might have gone with the Webasto. But the reason why I went with this, and I didn't realize Webasto heaters had this, is this actually has a heating coil in it. The floor has 1/2-inch PEX tubing through it, and the idea for that is to have a radiant floor heating system, because with these buses, what happens with a lot of them is you can heat, obviously the heat rises, and then the floor will stay cold. A friend of mine has a wood stove in his Western Transcend Existence, and his dog's water bowl would be frozen, but it would be 65, 70 degrees up top. So I wanted to utilize as much heat as possible, and obviously this will heat the bus, but also it'll have that residual heat coming up from the floor, and that will help me keep this thing on low. This Dickinson Marine heater, this is the Alaska version, at 15,000 BTU on low. It only consumes 1.3 gallons per 24 hours, and it's a gravity fed system. That's why this is sectioned out here. This will be a removable diesel tank that will gravity feed down into here. This is not hooked up yet. Another one of those things where I was just trying to get on the road. The next video I do, the bus will be, completely done, and show you how that works. So I went with the rear engine diesel with the roof raise specifically for the idea of lofting up the back of the bus. Underneath here are my lithium batteries, and then behind the batteries further down is 200 gallons of fresh water. Again, being off the grid, water is very important, and then also storage underneath the bed. So I have 2 steps here just with some extra storage into the step, and then as we come up we get to Kobe's home. This is my pup Kobuck. Not many dogs have a kennel built into an RV, especially a dog this big. He's a Husky Shepherd, so Shepherds are typically good with smaller spaces as long as they're with their people. So that's why I went with this breed, and he loves the road, being able to meet new dogs, being able to go explore. He doesn't actually spend too much time in here. I don't really leave him in there. He usually just sleeps on the couch, and he'll come in here from time to time, but it's not really utilized too much. But if somebody does come over and they're scared of dogs, come back, night night, I can just have him go in there. They don't have to worry about they don't have to worry about the pup. So going back into the bedroom area, emergency exit right here. This, I'm really glad that I kept this emergency exit. One, like I said, I can go up there, clean the solar panels, but this just adds so much light during the day. I honestly don't ever hardly use my lights in this bus at all, because I typically go to bed around 9, and especially during the summer, by the time I go to bed, it's still a little light out. So all natural light in the bus, as I said before. This has been awesome. Clothes storage in here. Don't really hang too much stuff up. Dean from the skoolie, he actually just sold his school bus, but I did a tour of his rig, and he had this divider from Amazon, and what he did is he actually rolled up his shirts, and I could hardly fit all my shirts in here, and I just got this from Amazon. It was like 14 bucks. I just roll all my shirts up in here, my pants down below, and just added a ton more space in here. And I don't really pay attention to what I wear a lot. I actually have the same clothes. I have 7 pairs of this exact type of pants. I have 3 of these types of shirts. So a lot of times I literally just grab a shirt without even thinking about it, throw it on, and then I'm out for the day. So that has been fantastic. Kind of a grab all junk drawer right here. Just random stuff, meds for the pup, an old iPod I hardly use anymore, loose change. Just kind of at the end of the day, when I have something in my pocket, I throw it in here. Then we have storage all through here, all drawers, lots of wires and gear storage, running shorts, first aid kit, some of his meds, flea and tick, all that good stuff. Again, thumb screws utilized all through here so they don't move. Gimbal, ram gear mounts, outdoor gear, just tons of storage through here. Another closet area up through here. Pull out bins. This is some of my heavier gear, like winter gear, some athletic pants, PJ pants, all that good stuff's here. And then with the laundry, I have a pull-out laundry basket. Throw my laundry in there, and then when I go to the laundromat, it has a bag in there, another Amazon purchase, to where I'll just wash the bag as well. And that just slides right in there. And I still haven't devised a system to keep these two closed. The way that the cabinets are built, there's no way to thread something in there, so I'm still trying to figure that out. I do have some magnets in there, but they don't really hold it closed, so I guess I could just get heavier duty magnets. So I need to figure that one out. And then moving back into the bedroom, quick gear access if I want to grab any quick gear. These are open face, never had any issues with anything falling out. And then I have a vintage map down here with epoxy. I let the epoxy freeze, I think. So this has been hardening for the last 2 months or so. Actually, this is the first time I've touched it to where it's not sticky. Oh, right in that corner. I got excited there because my camera bag, this has been with me for 8 years, Pelican bag. It's built specifically to have the Pelican bag fit in there. So again, quick access. My camera gear's in here. I can throw my laptop in here. This goes with me everywhere when I'm filming. So I wanted to have a secure place to where that can go and I can pull it in and out. That's actually really exciting. This is literally the first time I've ever been able to do that without getting epoxy on my fingers. So we're getting there. Then I have my solar readouts. Went with Battleborn batteries. If you're interested in those will be linked down below as well. Victron MPPT charge controllers, the 150/60s. I have 2 of those, and then a 3,000 watt pure sine wave inverter, and then a solar cutoff switch. Again, having those redundant systems to where if something's happening, I can turn things off. I got a color control monitor from Victron that shows my wattage coming in, my AC loads, my DC loads, and I can also hook up the power if need be. I'm eventually going to get an AC on here, so I might be getting a generator just in case. Again, having the pup, I can withstand it, but it's not fair to have the pup overheating in a rig, so we did go with an AC. And the AC unit is going to be mounted right here in the center. That's going to be happening soon. 2 uppers on both sides of the bed, 2 lowers on both sides of the bed with a shelf on each side. And like I said before, there's storage underneath the bed. It just pulls up. I have a block that holds the bed open. We didn't do hydraulic lifts just because I didn't want that pressure pushing on the side of the bed, and I can lift it up perfectly fine without any issues, so that's been working pretty well. So the bed itself is a queen bed. I went with Nest bedding. It's super comfortable. No issues whatsoever. So one thing I designed with the bedroom is 2 windows on both sides that I can open up, as well as the fan up top. So say if it's hot, I can open up both windows on the side, kick this fan on to actually pull the air out, and it will pull in cool air from the side. And also there's the option with the 2 fans, I can have 1 fan bringing air in, 1 fan out. But being that whenever it is warm, I just open the emergency exits, and what I can do is bring air in, the warm air comes out the emergency exits, and that keeps it fairly temperature controlled just the way I have it. And then here in the rear, I kept the emergency exit so I can open this up, prop it open, and that allows a lot more air in as well. And when you're out in the middle of nowhere, it is nice to, you can just put your head here, you kind of look out the back, look at the stars, and still got some wiring to do. I still got to get all the ceiling figured out, but that's a work in progress. So I actually have 3 smoke detectors in this bus, 1 over the living room, 1 over here the bed, and 1 underneath with the batteries. If anything's happening down there, obviously you need to know something's happening with those lithium batteries. It's an amazing technology, but you do have to be mindful. I actually got a CO2 fire extinguisher as well. It's about the only thing that will put out a lithium battery fire. You just have to be really careful with that because CO2, it can kill you. So if something were to happen with the batteries, obviously open this up and then just lift up this particular storage area. So, hey, back. You just lift up this storage area where the batteries are. I have quick access to the batteries. I have a cutoff switch for the batteries as well as fuses down there just in case something were to happen. Being that you have that much power going on down there, it is important to monitor that and keep that, in a safe situation. As I've mentioned multiple times before, this rig, the main purpose is to be completely off the grid. That's why I invested in this much lithium batteries. Got 900 amp hours of lithium batteries in here. So far, I have not had the batteries go all the way down, except once where it was cloudy a day or two before, and then the place I was filming where they had me park, I was underneath a tree. So I was only getting solar for maybe 2 or 3 hours a day, and I was doing a lot of editing on the iMac, and I wasn't paying attention, and the batteries got fairly low. But the next day I just kind of cut back on my power and everything was fine. It kicked right back on. And since then, this has been a phenomenal power bank for me. I'm really happy with the way the Battleborns are set up. And once again, my friend Billy with Nickel Handcrafted built me some battery trays that hold them in place, and then that just screws into the floor, and that's been working really, really well for me. So I went with lithium. It's definitely more of an investment. Lead acid batteries, you only have about half the capacity. These can go down to 20% of their capacity and charge right back up with no issues. If you do that with the lead acid variety, you pretty much smoked your batteries. They're done. So again, I built this to be my home for the next 10-15 years. These batteries have a projected lifespan of 10 to 15 years. So it was just more of an initial investment to have the option to not ever worry about my power. Like, I can set this up, pay the upfront cost, and then not have to worry about it again. So, welcome to the roof deck. As I mentioned before, these rails fold down. I use, again, another threaded system. It threads down, holds these in place so they're not rattling around, and wanted to go with a little bit higher roof deck. Some of my friends might have an extra beer or two at night, so it's nice to have the safety up here. And like I said, I'll just bring a chair up here, hang out, get an awesome view, and that's been working really, really well. It was one of those things where I was debating on just going with full solar throughout the roof or putting a roof deck up here. I'm really glad I went with the roof deck. That is the cell phone booster right there. That's put that up top of the bus. That brings in the cell signal, which then transmits the signal. Back behind me, I have 10 170 watt panels, Easy RV solar panels. The original plan was mounting the panels on top here, and then when the deck's down, they'd get full sun. But if I was up here and lifted it up, it would actually be very detrimental to my solar system. So we ended up moving the panels from here to the center, because my original thought was just having a walkway that I can walk up and down, clean the panels, but it didn't work out that way. So again, I have access to the front 3 panels right here, and then I can jump up in the back, clean those panels off. Solar system's been working fantastic. As you can see, I have one bank on the right, one on the left. The only thing that is difficult now is the sun is obviously over in that direction. This bank will be getting a lot more power than this side in the morning, and vice versa. Midday they're about equal. So that's a little bit of a detriment, but it could also help out if I am, say, in winter months, I can angle a bus a certain way and it'll actually get more sun than all the buses, as you can see, that are just flat panels here. But that's been more than enough solar for me, like I said before. And then on the rear of the bus, I actually have a mini split unit. It's already on the bus. The system's just not hooked up. I don't have the head unit on yet. I'm actually probably going to be doing that this upcoming weekend, and we're going to see if the solar can keep up with that. And eventually I probably will do a generator. I'm going to be welding on underbay storage on the side. If I could change, another thing about the bus is getting a bus that had the underbay storage already. I have one bay, and I had planned on just doing the underbay storage in the beginning, ran out of time, hit the road, so now it's one of those things where I don't have the underbay storage now. So if you're thinking about a skoolie, think about activity buses. With activity buses, they don't have as much stop and go traffic, and they have the storage underneath. I clean the panels probably once every month. It's been raining more recently, so they kind of clean themselves, especially with the angle on the side. Rain will hit it, clean them off naturally. The only two panels I really have to be mindful of are the two center ones because they are flat, but typically when it rains it just cleans them off anyways. Oh, one more thing with the deck up here. This is for an umbrella. This screws in to hold it in place. Didn't have my underbay storage set up, is taking up too much room. When I go back to Indiana where I'm storing it right now, I'll have that up there, so if I bring my laptop up here, it's too sunny, I can put the umbrella up here, bring a chair up here, and then just hang out. So this is the driving compartment. So this is a 2002 Bluebird All-American rear engine. As I mentioned before, I got this particular setup because of the lofted bed area. In terms of driving it, it took me a little while to get used to, but every single rig that I get, it's always a progression. The first Class B I got, it was a little bit bigger, it was about 19 feet, so I was nervous driving that. Then I got a Class A, and then this as well. But once you get acclimated, once you have a real idea of how long this is and what the turning radius is and how it works, driving it becomes a lot better. I recently got a tow car, so now I'm to the next stage of trying to figure out my turning radius, how to drive it with a tow car, because you can't back up with the setup that I have. It's not on a dolly, it's not on a trailer, and with the Roadmaster tow kit that I have, I can't back up. So I'm learning that right now. It is a little nerve-wracking from time to time, but it's good to go. Get around 8 miles to the gallon. Has 150,000 miles on it right now. I bought it with 130. Got this bus from auction for about $3,000. Allison 3060 transmission, and the Cummins 8.3 combination is just fantastic. So if you take care of those, you keep an eye on the fluids, you don't push the engine too hard, it's an amazing setup. Going up and down hills is not too bad as well. You just got to go slow with this Allison 3060. It's an automatic transmission, but you can manually shift up and down. So for example, if I have a steep grade, it's a 6-speed. I have the 6th gear unlocked with this bus. I'll bust this down to 2nd or 3rd gear depending on the grade and just go up the hill at 20-30 miles per hour, just keeping an eye on my temperature, because as you drive these, you're constantly keeping an eye on your lights, your idiot lights, as well as the temperature of the bus. So that's one thing with a school bus. It's different than any rig I ever had. I constantly keep an eye on the temperature. I have a EasyRV TPMS kit, tire pressure monitoring system. This is for the tow car as well as the bus. It keeps an eye on the pressure, the temperature. So, you know, obviously the front steer tires, it's very important to know that your tires are healthy and you're not going to have any issues if you're going down the road and you have a blowout on one of these front tires. It's not good. And also with the tow car, even my V10 Class A gas engine, if you have a tow car back there and a tire blows, you can be dragging that thing and not have any idea. And that could be a huge issue. But with this, I'm able to keep track of all my tires, make sure that that's good to go. Up here, I have an exterior light monitor. The bus did not come with the stereo. They took that out before I bought the bus, so I just use this for storage for my receipts. I keep all my gas receipts, anything to do with the bus, whether it be buying drill bits or whatever. I keep all my receipts, being that I do travel for work. It's really important to keep all that stuff, and this is just extra storage up here. This particular bus did not come with many options, so all the switches over here are pretty much not useful anymore. I do have a fan that I can kick on. The rest of the buttons are actually for the school bus function. So that was the emergency light on top that you have to take off legally when you get a bus. Different controls for the stop signs and everything's over here, which I don't use anymore. I did reconnect the heater, and that actually goes back to keeping an eye on the temperature. So some people just completely delete their lines from their engine to the front for the heater, but I decided to route mine underneath the bus, and what that does is if I'm in a hot environment, if the engine is getting hot, I can just kick the heater on, so the coolant runs from the engine all the way to the front to the heater core. I'm able to kick this heat on, and it actually cools the engine down, because that dispersion of heat from using the heater will actually cool the rear engine, which has been very helpful whenever I'm trying to climb grades and it's pretty warm out. But yeah, overall, I love driving this thing. It took me about 3 weeks to a month to actually get excited when I started, when I would go to drive, because like I said, at first I was nervous. It's a 40-foot bus. It's hard to park from time to time. You got to drive it a different way going through cities and towns. But now it's just like driving any other car. I can hop in here, turn the engine on, ready to go. So up here, I did keep the mirror that the school bus driver uses to keep an eye on the children back when this was a school bus, but I now use this to keep an eye on everything as I'm driving. So what I'll do before I drive is just take a peek in the mirror, make sure that I have everything buttoned down. It's just one last check, and if there is some noise going on back there, I actually don't have to look back. I can just move the mirror, check out everything, and this is actually the only mirror in the bus. I don't really pay attention to what I wear whatsoever, so it's not like I'm checking myself out. So yeah, it's the only mirror in the bus. I have "Do What You Can't" written on here. If you watch YouTube, you probably know about Casey Neistat. He made an amazing video. It'll be linked down below, but basically this whole generation of YouTubers just getting out there and getting after it. It was an amazing video, and whenever I was getting a little questioning on doing the YouTube thing and just kind of burn out, I'd always just watch that video and it'd fire me right back up. So just a nice reminder, do what you can't. I love seeing that. It's one of my philosophies now. Above the entrance, I have my collection of stickers. Every skoolie typically has their collection of stickers. Being that I film for Tiny Home Tours, there's a lot of the people that I film, they give me their stickers, and eventually what I want to do is just have this entire front school bus area covered in stickers on the ceiling, and just pictures and different things people give me on the road. The front of the bus is the only part of the bus that I wanted to keep a little stock. I still have a lot of the stickers from the school district. I got this from the West Palm Beach School District in Florida. For example, 80% of Palm Beach County teens are alcohol free. So I just kept all this stock stuff up here. I'm probably going to keep this stock floor. The only real addition I did make up here was a little shelf that I built for shoes. I do a lot of trail running. Once I get back in the flow, now that I have a tow car, I'll probably be going to different gyms, playing basketball, playing racquetball. So workout shoes, running shoes, and then just day-to-day shoes. Everything lives up here. I also have these rubber gloves. Being that I typically fill this up at truck stops, those diesel pumps are actually very, very dirty. A lot of the times they have diesel on them. So I'll just use those gloves to fill up the bus. If you are thinking about a skoolie, typically the diesel fill is on the passenger side. So I found truck stops to be really useful, because what you can do is go in, pay your cash. You just unhook the pump on the driver's side, which is where it's typically at. You just sit that down, then go over to the satellite station. You're able to fill up. And especially now that I have a tow car, I can't fit in any other gas station, so it's typically the truck stops that I go to fill this up. So listening to music while I drive, I either have AirPods or have a Bluetooth speaker right here that I'll use. Eventually, I will figure some other system out for music, but the thing is, this bus is purpose-built to be, number one, off the grid, but number two, to get me to places where I can film, meet people to film. It's basically just a tool to help me live my life on the road. So the aesthetics, for example, with the ceiling, the music, that's just secondary. If I just have to put in my AirPods and listen to it here, that's totally fine. My longest stint of driving in this bus, I did do a 9-hour day, and it absolutely wrecked me. I was done. The reason is it's physically and mentally exhausting driving one of these bigger rigs. Fighting the steering wheel, being that I did do a roof raise, the wind does affect it. Semis coming by, as they're coming down the highway, they push the air to the side, kind of pushes against the bus, so you're fighting it. It's definitely different driving this than even my Class A, towing a vehicle behind my Class A. But yeah, 9 hours, but I would not suggest that. Typically I try and stay around 200 to 250 miles per day when I drive. So thanks for watching. If you want to keep up with my travels, my other channel is the Off-Grid Skoolie. Obviously I have this channel, Tiny Home Tours. My Facebook is Chris Travels, and basically just traveling around, how I'm living on the road, how I live simply, how I save money, and hanging out with that crazy pup. But once again, thanks for watching. We'll catch you guys later.